So, hello everybody. So, we're going to be looking at some keyboard tips and hints, and let's get into it. There's quite a lot of ground we need to cover. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Uh, while I'm in my shared screen state, I just wanted to let you guys know I sent a file in the chats, a cheat sheets that looks at all the shortcuts that I'm going to be looking at, and I broke it up in such a way where it is better to digest, because the Apple one is nice and it's nicely laid out, but it becomes quite a lot of information, and you can get lost in translation with that one. Also, I've put down the link for those who want to look at the Mac one a little bit more in detail. Anyway, so guys, I'm going to start off with, the general shortcuts that I normally use that makes my life super easy. And I'm going to start with some of the basic ones, the one shortcut that we have or that I normally use, I never ever, whenever it comes to copy paste, I never ever do the select the file, edit, copy. I normally just use the shortcut. It's indicated, Command C, and then of course the paste is Command V, cut is Command X. So what they're talking about, those symbols, if I just call up my keyboard quickly. So those symbols are referred to the Command key on your keyboard. So if you hold on Command C, Command that's copy, and then Command X is to cut it, and of course to paste it is just Command V. Undo is Command Z, right? For those who don't know. If you do know this, forgive me guys, just bear with me with this one. And yeah, so those are generally the ones that I use. Also, to get into Spotlight search, quite an easy shortcut as well, which is just holding down the Command key and press spacebar, right? So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep my keyboard on the desktop, and as I press it, you guys will actually see it will highlight in red. Okay, so Command spacebar will then open my Spotlight search. However, with the release of Siri, you can, if you hold down the Command and spacebar, it will open Siri, right? I'm just gonna hit the escape key. If we go to our system preferences, and in our system preferences under Siri, you will see that there's the shortcut, and you can actually just change it to any other options that you have there. You can even customize it. But just be careful when it comes to customization, because it you don't want it to conflict with another keystroke, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so so again, if I tap hold, spell for me Septuagint.
Septuagint. S-E-P-T.
So there you get the
A-G-I-N-T.
Cool. So there you can get you can see, you can tell Siri to spell a word for you. You can get the definition thereof. But see, now that we've got the spelling of it, we can even, we could have done that or get the definition of it in our Spotlight search. So now that I do know the spelling, I can type in Septuagint, right? And guys, you can see it directly takes me into my definitions. But say, for instance, my mouse wasn't on that definition. If I hold down the Command and I press the L key, it will actually take me straight to the definitions inside of my Spotlight search. So say, for instance, you are typing in a word that you want to look at, then you can just hold down the Command key, press the L key. So that is pretty handy to use within your Spotlight search. The other thing that I also use, and we looked at help functions before, there's another shortcut that I use from time to time is to get quickly to the help function. So this is now if you would within any app. So if I hold down the Command Shift key, I'm just calling up the keyboard again so you guys can see what I'm referring to. So if I hold down the command key and I hold down the shift key and I press the / key, then it will take me straight to my help menu. There we go. And now I can type in cut, show me my menu items, or I can even, which we looked at our previous video about the help menus, I can go to macOS help and so on. So quickly to get to it, I just held down command, shift, and /. Now that is general quick shortcuts. There's also one that I like to use, guys, and we talked about this in our previous video, but not in much detail. It's about screenshots, right? So with this, I'm just gonna, let me use my keyboard as an example for this one, right? So say for instance, I want to take a screenshot of my keyboard. I can just go command shift, hold down the command shift key and press the number 4, right? Now you will see that my mouse pointer turns into a crosshair. But say if I tap on my space bar, you will see that my mouse pointer turns into a camera icon. So now I can move on to any window, and once I click on it, it will take a photo, right? And there you can see at the bottom left corner, there's a preview, and it will land up on my desktop. But let me just open this image file. Let me show you guys what it looks like. So here you can see there is my image of my keyboard. However, there's a little frame around it with drop shadow. So if I want to now take a screenshot but without this white in the background, I can do the following. So if I hold down command shift press 4 with the space bar, now before I click on my mouse button or my trackpad button, I hold down the Alt key. So if I hold down the Alt key or the Option key, then I press, it captures it, right? And you will see the difference with this one. So now there's my other image. And if I open it, you will see that there's no white background or drop shadow. It's just that little frame. Okay. Now, guys, you would have noticed that I hardly have screenshots on my Mac because I like to take it straight to the clipboard. So if I take a screenshot, I take it to the clipboard and I can then paste it into any document. So now this time I'm going to go command shift 4, press the space bar to switch to my camera icon. And now, before I tap on my trackpad or my mouse, I hold down the control key. Now if I hold down the control key and I click on it, it saves it to my clipboard, right? So now I can let me go to my notes. I could have gone to Word, to Pages, to any other application, and then I can just go. Remember the shortcut key for paste is Command B. We have pasted it into my notes document. Okay, so they have now shown you guys some handy tips in terms of and tips that I use. Okay, now when shortcut keyboards become essential is normally when we start working with text editing. Okay, I work extensively with creating manuals and so on. So, it becomes cumbersome to take my fingers off the keyboard, to go to my mouse to move my insertion pointer into a certain position and then have to come back to the keyboard. So I kind of started learning how to use the shortcut keys more effectively. So yeah, I'm just going to go to my next screen. Yeah, I've got a few items in front of me, or 2 windows, and this is basically the cheat sheets, or one of the sheets that I prepared for you guys. And yeah, I've got quite a bit of text on the side. Now guys, if I now click on in front of the eye, I made the text a little bit larger so that you guys can at least see my blinking cursor. Just let me know if you guys struggle to see it, and I can make the text a little bit bigger. Is it okay? Can you guys see my cursor there? Is it good? Perfect. Cool. So, guys, first of all, if I move my arrow keys, and this time I'm going to be using my arrow keys. I'm going to bring up my keyboard once again so that you guys can see what I'm referring to. This time I'm going to be using my arrow keys in combination with my normal shortcut keys. Okay? So now, if I move my arrow keys like that, you can see it's going from letter to letter, which I don't want. Okay, or I can do it if I want to. However, if I hold down, as it says here, the Option key, and I move my arrow, you will see it will move to the end of each word. Okay, the same way if I use the opposite of my my arrow. So if I go to the left hand, it will move to the beginning of the word. That is one way of moving from word to word. If I want to move to the beginning, to the end of the sentence, while holding down the Command key, if I tap on my arrow, it will move to the beginning of the sentence to using the left-hand arrow to the end of the sentence to the beginning of the sentence if I do the opposite. Now, paragraph, right? So if I want to move to the end of the paragraph, and you can see on my document, I've got the paragraph markers because I'm showing currently my invisible or other words, my non-printing characters. So if I want to go to, say, to the end of my paragraph, if I hold down the Alt key again and I press the downwards arrow, you will see my insertion pointer move to the end of my paragraph, to the next paragraph, to the end of the next paragraph, and so I can go right to the end of my document. Okay, now to move to the beginning or the end of your document, you use the same. Let me just go right to the beginning. Holding down Command all the way up to the top. Sorry, I cannot click off it. So now, if I go to the beginning or the end of my document, besides not using Alt, because Alt does paragraph, I would use Command key. If I use Command key, downwards arrow takes me to the end of my whole document. Upwards arrow takes me to the beginning of my document. Now, this you can also use when you wanna select text, right? So say for instance, here I pick up an error, right? So there I pick up an error. So I actually wanted to say the training facilitator. So now, besides of moving my mouse one by one, I'm just gonna go Alt, there, space, training facilitator. Cool. So you guys saw how quick that was. I just went done. Okay. Now, if I wanted to select text, all I do is I hold down the Shift key. Now, if I hold down the Shift key, you will see that it goes letter for letter. But say if I now held down the Shift key and I said Alt, you will see it will go word for word. Okay, which is much quicker. And now after selecting that, I can, of course, type over it or delete it or so on. Okay, so that is the quick way of doing it. If I tap the downwards arrow, you will see it will take it from where my insertion pointer is right to the end of the paragraph. So you just combine it with the keys that you will normally navigate with, combine it with Shift, and it will select those texts. Okay? Upwards again to deselect it. And now, there isn't a lot to do when it comes to Control key, right, guys? But there are certain keystrokes that I use. There's a lot to do with Control. You can go through the Apple sheet. It's for me just a lot of stuff. But the ones that I do use, because whenever I'm in my manuals and I need to create more spaces, what I normally do is I hold down the Control key and I press the O key, which you will see my insertion pointer stays there at the top and it just moves the others down, because say if I wanted to put a line in there. Now this would have made it, I could have gone this way, right, by hitting enter, but you will see my blinking cursor moves downwards. Well, then I have to tap, tap, tap to move back to the top. Where I could have just gone, hold down the control key and press O. So my blinking insertion pointer stays there at the top. Okay, so that is one good thing. The guys, I'm going to point out a little bit of Angelo's weakness. Angelo, a client told Angelo one day, sorry I'm speaking in third person, that you might be dyslexic because one day I was typing and I kind of crossed my vowels around, okay? But I'm not going to go into much detail with that. So, you know, so say for instance, I'm typing, I would say maybe especially, but I would spell it like that, right? Or I would write, I don't want you to fix my spelling, I want you to keep it that way. Or I would write maintain, right? So I would write certain words. Of course, I don't do this mistake again, guys, because guess what? Siri is there, so I can just go. Spell for me especially.
Especially. E-S.
Now I can see the spelling. I could have copied it and so on. But say now, I kind of realize, oh, there's an error. And now normal people will first delete, then fix the spelling. But instead of doing that, I'm going to use my shortcut just to show you how easy this is. So I'm going to go Alt, jump to the beginning of that word, to the end of that word, and then I'm going to go letter for letter there. In between, I'm going to hold down the Control key and press T to swap it around. Okay, now the same here, I'm going to hold down Alt, go there, hold down Control, press T, fixed. Okay, instead of me deleting words and so on and so forth, etc. Yes. Now, guys, one thing that, let me just delete that. So now, guys, if you have a problem that Angelo have, or you have kids that have dyslexia, you can now see what the tools are that to their disposal, right? Now, besides that, you know, the one thing that I always get with clients who come from PC, which we call switchers, who come from a PC, you know, coma. Those ones normally say, you guys don't have a delete key. So now I say, no, we do have. If I go there and I go, I can delete this. No, that's not that. It's a backspace. Fine. Okay. So Apple does have a what they call a delete key or a forward delete. Windows people call it delete. We call it forward delete. So say, for instance, you are there and so say, for instance, I want to take out I'm Angela Martin, right? And I don't want to move my cursor to the back. Cool. I can hold down the FN key. And now if I hit the backspace, and the FN key, guys, just to bring it to your attention, because sometimes people make a mistake with a function key. That's my FN key over there. At the end of my bottom right, left-hand side of my keyboard. So if I hold down the FN key and I tap on the backspace, you will see that it will delete forward, right? I'm just going to go Command Z to undo that. Now, I could do it with the entire word as well. So press the Alt key, the Alt key, and hit backspace. Let me just undo that. Let me first do it the one way. So if I'm like using the backspace key and I want to delete that way, I can hold down the Alt key and just press backspace. You will see it will delete the entire word, backspace it up. But now say for instance I want to do a forward delete, whole word. Then I can keep my cursor in the front of the word, hold down the Alt key and the FN key and hit the backspace. And that will delete forward the entire word. So instead of doing it letter by letter, you can just do the entire word. Now guys, all these keystrokes that I showed you that I normally use quite a bit, and it's only a few things. It's easy to remember. You know, I don't eat the elephant. I like to take it piece by piece. So I would normally navigate, combine it with select, combine it with whatever you want to do, delete or retype or so on. It's pretty interesting, and you can cut your workload down quite a bit. And this is not only for a document, this can be for emails as well. You can use it in mail, you can use it in Outlook, anywhere you enter text. Now, that is to do with text editing. Now, but we are over our time. Let me quickly go to something that we use quite a bit. And I actually wanted to use this PDF, right? So when you're busy on a PDF, guys, you can go to the beginning or the end of the PDF. You can see that I've downloaded this keyboard shortcuts, and I can just scroll through to the beginning or the end. What I find interesting is that if you hold down the FN key and you press the right-hand arrow, it will go to the bottom of the PDF, back to the beginning. If you do the opposite, if you want to go page by page, you switch to the Option key, and you will see that it will jump from page to page. At the bottom, it will actually show the page 2, page 3, page 4. But there's another way that you can actually do this. Say, for instance, you're reading a long PDF, it can be a blog or so on. If you hold down the FN key once again and you press I'm just going to move this to the side here, and you press the upwards arrow, sorry, in my case, I'm at the top of the document, downwards arrow, you see there, the last one, it says the Command G at the bottom, right? If I hold down FN and press downwards, so let me go back to there. Then you will see there it's now at the top, and there is now, it's moved now to the bottom of the last visible text. So if I hold down FN again, and I use downwards arrow again, you will see there's the part of the sentence sticking out. Now it's showing the whole word, and it's coming to the bottom of that page. So holding FN, so you can read the whole document from top to bottom, and just hold down the FN key and press, and it will continue where the visible part of the page ended. I use that quite a bit when I have to read through a lot of PDFs and so on. Okay. So that is just a simple thing that I use with shortcut keys with PDFs. Now, the other thing that I want to show you guys is about photos. And this is where I use my keyboard shortcuts quite extensively. So, first of all, navigating through photos can sometimes be, especially when you are looking at photos from an all photos perspective. Normally, because of my library growing quite a bit, I tend to have quite a lot of, or have to jump from this to that, to this to that. When all photos, I can just use the FN key. Beg your pardon. If I hold the FN key and I press the right arrow, it will take me right to the end of my library. So if you have photos that you want to see much later in your library, that you've taken lost in your library, you don't need to scroll. Hold down FN key, press the right-hand arrow. Right to the beginning of, say for instance, you have photos more in the beginning, you can just go, hold down FN key, left arrow, and it will take you right to the beginning, and now you can scroll down to a certain point or a certain point in your library that you want to select. Remember that part in the PDF, guys, where you went the last visual text to the least visual text, or the last visual text on the screen. You can do it with photos too. Now the keystroke for that is hold down the FN key, and if you tap on the right hand arrow, you will see there the last photo here is these three here. Okay, so if I hold down the FN key and I press the downwards arrow, you will see now those are the last three at the top, and it now moves to the bottom. And so I can see all the last viewed photos by just holding down the FN key quickly, right? Especially when you're working with a certain project and so on, and there's quite a lot of photos, and it's easy for you to go through them without going scrolling. Now, now to get to any image, so for instance, you want to go to a photo that you want to edit. Let me just find something here that I can use. Oh, there's a nice photo. So say for instance, I want to use this photo here, all right? Now if I tap on that photo to select it, and I want to get to the editing part, no problem. All I do is I just hit the return key, okay? And that will take me into the editing screen. Hit the return key again to come out. If I want to view the photo in full screen, hit the space bar, and that will give me a full screen view, okay? But let's go back to the editing. So now in my editing, if I'm in my editing screen, guys, you see here at the top where there's these three tabs, which is adjust, filters, and crop. Right, all I do is I can, for adjust, press A, for filters, press F, and for crop, press C. Okay, so I can easily jump from the one to the other easily. Okay, if I want to zoom into the photo, I can hold down the command key and press the plus key to zoom in. Now you will see it will zoom into where your cursor is. So say for instance, I put my cursor there, right? And I command plus, you will see it will zoom in there, and minus will zoom out again. Now, say for instance, I want to auto enhance. You will see that there are these two buttons here, rotate and auto enhance. So if I go and I hold down command and E, it will now put the auto enhance that photo, right? Now, I'm in my enhance option, so I can actually go and change my enhancement a little bit more, put the contrast down a bit. Let me put it, let me bring down my black point and so on. So I've made some changes, but now if I can compare to the change that I've made to what the original looks like, and all I do is I hold down the M key, M for master, and it will show me what my original looked like to show me what my adjusted image looks like. Okay, so you can always compare the two just by holding down that keystroke. Now, when it comes to the last thing I quickly want to look at, guys, is the cropping, right? Now, I find photos cropping being the best out there. So now if I go to my cropping, I press C, and say, for instance, I want to, so you can do a free-form cropping, or you can do it in square. You can put the ratios down. But let's look at these three. Oh, sorry, these two here. Free-form and square. Now, free-form, I can just click on my corners and just drag it to any position from the top and so on. And that will then crop it where my square is. Okay? I'm just going to undo that. So now, as you guys would have noticed, is that wherever I go, right? So say, for instance, I should take now square. So wherever I go, it will keep the aspect ratio, right? It will not change the square orientation whatsoever, right? But, and as you guys would have noticed, is that it stays at the bottom, or it stays in the one corner as I move it from the other corner. However, if you're on freeform or square and you hold down the Alt key and you click and you drag in, you will see it now starts cropping from the center or into the center. So that's also pretty cool. The other thing you can also notice when it comes to cropping is this here, the rotation wheel. So if I rotate, sometimes it can be difficult to find the right option for the rotating wheel. So with this, if you hold down the Alt key once again, you will see it will do it very slowly, right? So you can find the precise degrees for the rotation that you want. So those are the two things that you can do. So when I'm done, I just tap on my spacebar, and it will now return back, and you can see now that is my edited photo. So guys, these are the tools and the utilities I normally use when it comes down to using my keyboard strokes. Yeah. Any questions?
Just a quick question. How do I do on M squared? How would I do the little 2 above the M?
Oh, can I quickly show? Actually, the way I've done it, Louis, is I use what they call keyboard substitutions. Right? Can I quickly share my screen with you guys and show you? So what I did was the following. Right? Inside of your Mac, if you go to keyboard, you've got this one here, shortcuts. Right? Sorry, not shortcuts. Apologies. Text. Now in text, you will notice that I've got the M2, which changed that. Okay, I'll show it again. So it is system preferences, keyboard, and under text, right? So what keyboard substitutions are is taking one keystroke and changing it to something that you commonly don't have. Like here you can see I've got 1/2, we'll change it into a half bracket symbol, and so on. So say for instance, like Louis is saying, the M2. So if I click on the...
What about M cube, M3?
Yeah, so now if, I don't know about the M3, but bear with me with this one, Louis.
Okay.
So say for instance, I go M2, right, that I want to add in. So this is the key that I will type, but it must change it to a different key. So now here I would then insert another key. Now inside of your Mac, you've got what they call symbols and characters. Now to see the symbols and the characters, you'll find that one again. There is a shortcut for the key symbols and characters, guys. I will have to find it again for you, but I've got it built into my keyboard button. So if I go to my emoji and symbols, let's open quickly. It's not opening. Come on. Show emoji and symbols. And now I think I know where it is. There we go. It's opening. So now inside of there, now I was here by the text, and I clicked on the plus, I see the M2. Then here I would go to my emoji and symbol. So it's a mathematical symbol, I think. Or I can just search for M2. Okay, there I can see there it finds it. Cool, that's the one that I want. So now all I do is I just copy that. So I'll go Command C, as I mentioned to you guys in the shortcut. And then I go in here and I go Command V. So now whenever I type M2, it will replace it with that character, right? So now if I go to, I'm just going to use Spotlight Search. If I type M2, you will see automatically it will change it to that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Guys, you can go online as well and look for these symbols, and you can drag it from the page into that square, and that will become your... Oh, and by the way, if your devices are cloud synced, then it will also be on your iPad and your iPhone.
Ange, can I add something? Louis, can I ask you a question? Are you specifically doing it in an application like in Word or Pages, or do you want it globally across the board?
Yes, in Word.
In Word, okay. Because I'm not sure about Word, but in Pages, if you go to your preferences, there is an option to replace numerical suffixes with superscript.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, which is another vote for Pages. And by the way, the keyboard command for bringing up the character palette that Angela just showed was Control Command Space. So if you hold down Control Command Space in any place where you're entering text, it will display that emoji character palette. You don't have to go hunting for it.
Thank you, sir. I forgot about that shortcut key.
Since we're doing a keyboard shortcut thing, Control Command Space will always bring up the character palette.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Angela?
Michael?
Yes, thank you, Angela. And yeah, Louis, thanks for asking that question. I've been wanting to find that out for years. I'm in property, so it was something that was driving me nuts. It occurred to me to look on the net. But thanks, Angela. That's great. You had my attention there when you said you've got to go and find the effing key. I thought, wow. What's Angela got so cross about? Yeah, I mean, the FN key, I'm not quite sure. It's an amazing key. I've never, ever used it for anything. So this is the first time I found out what it actually does. And what does FN stand for?
Function.
Oh, so it's short for function. So this is the key that will alter the functions. That's amazing. Okay, so I can use that then. So when I type in THEIR or I go IE, I get it wrong. I can use that key to switch it.
So it's basically the control T key. So if you put your cursor like in between the two keys that you want to switch, you need to hold down control, press T, and it will work.
Because I also think sometimes it's dyslexic,
Yeah, no. I thought I was stupid because, you know, that's another story on its own. Until a client said to me, it's normal. People have it all the time. So,
makes me feel better. Thanks very much, Angela. Appreciate it.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Yes, just this forward delete. Can you do it on your iPhone?
If you've got a keyboard, yeah, you can. If you remember, you can plug it or you can attach a Bluetooth keyboard to your iPad or even your iPhone. So if you've got a Mac keyboard, then you can use those shortcut keys on it. But default keystroke mark, you still need to highlight the word and so on.
Okay.
But what I found what's easy, did you guys know about the double tap, triple tap option?
Yeah. So
if you double tap, it will select a word. If you triple tap, it will select a paragraph.
Okay.
Right. So if you're on a document and you want to delete the entire paragraph because, well, you were just angry at the time when you wrote it, you just triple tap, select the whole paragraph, backspace, boom. And this works everywhere: iPhone, iPad, mail. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Can I add one of my favorite shortcuts? Does anybody here draw occasionally? You know, circles, rectangles, need to make them perfect circles.
Yeah.
Okay, Ange, do you mind?
Also, go for it.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so I've got this little guy over here and I've got this circle over here. So if I wanted to resize this, I've got my handles. And if I just drag from one of the handles, it drags freeform, right? Just like an ellipsis. If I hold the shift key down though, it constrains it to a perfect circle. And that works the same for squares and rectangles. You hold the shift key down and it constrains it. But now sometimes I want to I draw something. So I wanted to maybe make this so that it surrounds this guy perfectly. And if I drag this over here, I've got to work out roughly where it's going to be to get it to fit. And okay, I got really lucky over there. It worked quite well. But one surefire way of getting it to be exact is if I overlay whatever it is I want to drag. If I want to resize that, if I drag from the side, I get what you'd expect. If I hold the Option key down, it draws from the center. It resizes from the center. And this is really nice if you want to place something accurately and then resize it. Instead of just, you know, thumb sucking it, you can put it directly over it. So Option key draws from the center. Option Shift key draws a perfect circle from the center. So that's my addition to today. Hold the Shift key to constrain something from a circle. And if you hold the Alt key down as well, it resizes from its center point rather than from the opposite side of where you're dragging.
All of the best. Take care of yourself. Love you guys. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers,
See you next
guys.
week.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks.